color grading can be quite challenging, especially when aiming for that particular film look in your videos. But today we're gonna find out a tool which has changed, I would say, everything for me. So let's not waste any time and start to find out what the answer is and even how it works. As you probably know, color grading is a quite complex topic. In fact, it's not something that you master instantly. And in my opinion, there's a really long learning curve. In fact, every time you edit a video, you can improve your skills. But from my point of view, the most critical and difficult point about color grading is to actually start and to approach to this world. And a few time ago, Dehancer reached out to me to test out their film emulation software for videos and to just create an honest review about it, talking about my experience with this product. And this video actually is not gonna be only a review of Dehancer, but I want even to talk about how it is to approach to the color grading world from zero, because in my opinion it's really interesting. And I have to admit it, my experience with Dehancer and approaching to the color grading world with Dehancer is completely positive. I'm super happy about it and you're gonna see all the results of it. This video is not gonna be only for base users but even for pro users, and so I will leave you throughout the video all the sections of it so that you can move around depending what you already know and what you want to know about Dehancer and in general about the color grading. So let's start from the base question, the base point, what Dehancer is and what you get with it. So with Dehancer you're gonna get a full pack of about 60 plus film profiles, and the great thing is that you can just import the license on your video editing software. That can be, for example, in my case, DaVinci Resolve, but even Apple Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, and even After Effects. So there are quite some options to use Dehancer with. Now, for example, you are seeing some videos entirely edited with Dehancer, and even this video that you're seeing right now is edited with Dehancer. And as you can see, in just one click you can go from this base raw image from this final edited image. And the great point, in my opinion, of Dehancer is that you can go from the base point to the final video in just a few seconds. So you're gonna select your film profile, which is not just a random film profile, but are usually some authentic film emulation, classic film emulations. And so you can, in my opinion, personalize and enhance a particular style in your videos. If you're completely new to the color grading topic, you will have to know a few things, a few bases to start. So first of all, you don't have to record the videos in the normal system, because you will have to activate, for example, the log on your camera just to get a more native media on which you can work from. So for example, this one is the native media in F-Log2 with my Fujifilm X-H2, and then this one is the final result after Dehancer has been applied. And in my opinion, for all the new base users of color grading, the log, recording in log, is the biggest obstacle, because yeah, we'll have to understand the difference between 8 and 10 bit, for example. In the future you will have to understand that sometimes you need to overexpose a bit, sometimes you don't have to overexpose in your videos. For example, now I'm not overexposing the clip, but in other times you have to. And so recording in log is a bit more difficult, you need to understand it, but your camera, for example, in most of the cases can assist you, because you're not gonna see the native image on the screen of your camera, but your camera can apply already a sort of little edit, a little LUT to your video, so that you can understand at least what you're recording and how all the light is working in your image. So you need to take a bit of a hand on it, but it's not impossible. You just have to try it and understand every time how to get the perfect clip to be edited. Now, apart from the more technical things you need to know about using the camera in log, you even need to know that editing a video with Dehancer, but in general working with native media and going to the final color graded media, requires a bit more power, a bit more performance from your computer. So just remember that if you have the really base computer which already has some issues with normal videos, with a normal editing, you may have some further problems even with color grading and even with Dehancer, but we'll talk about this later in the video. Now I wanted to show you a bit of a fast workflow working on a clip with Dehancer on DaVinci Resolve, and we are going to apply the Dehancer tool. But this video is not going to be a full tutorial. As I said, this is just a review, but if you want to have a full tutorial in which we go in depth into every single tool or almost every single tool part of Dehancer, just let me know down in the comments so that I can work on it in the next period. But now let's move to the computer just to see this fast editing process workflow. Here we are now on DaVinci Resolve to just edit some videos. So in general the workflow I would say is quite simple. In fact, just to import Dehancer on your clips, that's pretty simple. Here on DaVinci Resolve you need to go on the color section, and then you need to just go on here Dehancer Pro, drag and drop on your clip on the node, and you're ready to go. So now the first thing you need to know that about the nodes, I'm not a professional, but as you can even found on the Dehancer website, you will see that the Dehancer node needs to be the last one, so that's a quite simple rule. And now in this sort of little tutorial, I'm just gonna show you some basic nodes. So the first one will be about the light and contrast, the second one about the colors, but I'm not gonna make any difference, any edits to the colors, and then the third one is gonna be about the answer. So let's start with this first clip. The first thing you will have to do is quite simple, so just go on the input tool, then select your camera. This is the process that I've been doing with the answer. Then let's go on F-Log2, this is the X-H2, the Fujifilm X-H2, it's my camera. And now, as you can see, we have a sort of a starting image. It's not perfect, but we can already see how the video is gonna look like. Now, we need to move before on the film profile just to select the look in general of our video. So let's go here to film, and then I'm gonna select the most standard one, which is the one that in general I prefer, which is the Kodak Vision V50D. Now that we have selected this film profile, we will move here to the light and contrast edit. I've done a few things just to make the image a bit more brighter, and in general to the color I've just made a little few changes. But now the big part comes with the answer. So the first thing we need to do is just to go on the input part, and here we have some basic changes like the exposure, the temperature, tint. So I would say that all the basic things that you can find on every single software. Moving now to the second part, here we have the film. We have already selected our film profile for this clip, and here below we can change a bit, as you can see, the look, the general look of our film. Now, moving to the film compression, here this section is extremely useful when you have an unbalanced clip. In this case, as you can see, if I enable it, it will work on the light, and so the film compression is extremely useful when you have, for example, some really bright lights, bright part of the video, and so this one is gonna balance the whole clip. Now probably you will have noticed that into this clip there's quite some grain, because once you import the answer on your clip, it will automatically apply the film grain, which is this tool. But if you want, you can even turn this off, and in this case I just want to keep a more modern style without this analogic film grain. Here we go on another tool, which is the expand, and basically here you can work on the black and white point, and this in general is useful when you want to work, as you can see here, on the darker parts of the image and here on the brighter parts of the image. Now here we go on a really important section of the answer, which is the print tool. So this is extremely important to enhance the classic film emulation in your clip, and in this case you can select, for example, the linear profile, which is, I would say, the more standard. It's more flat, and in my opinion it works perfectly in most of the occasions. But if you want, there's, for example, this one, the Fujifilm, which is pretty interesting. Now, as you can see, is pretty hard. You need to adjust again a bit the clip, but that's not a big problem. We can maybe see it in the tutorial. And as you can notice, using the Kodak or the Fujifilm rather than the linear gives a more filmy look to your image, but in this case I want to just keep on linear, so just stay on something more modern. So going into it, you can adjust the exposure, the tonal contrast, and even the color density. Now, this color density is a tool that I want to talk about, because if you just bump it up at the maximum, you're gonna notice that there will be some changes on some particular bright colors. This is quite interesting to have, because in some clips you can take a bit up some colors which are really important in this clip. As you can see now, in this case, it's working especially on my face, but even on the red part here in the background. Now, moving on, now we go to the color head section, and this is extremely useful when you want to work in detail on the colors of your image. But the greatest part of this tool is this part: shadow tone, mid-tone, and highlight tones. And this one is extremely useful to work on the temperature of your clip in some particular areas. For example, here I can work on the temperature, as you can see, on the shadows. Now I want to have the shadows a bit more warmer. Then you can, for example, go on the highlights, like this upper part of the image, and make it a bit colder, and even work a little bit on the mid-tones. And so now, as you can see, we have done quite some changes in just a few minutes, and the result, I would say, that is pretty great, because we have gone from a basic native F-log image to a final video which is, I would say, great looking, and in general you can work and personalize it a bit more. And down below here we have just another few tools, but I'm not gonna talk about this into this video. So let's move now to another clip, which is this one. So this has been already edited, and as you can see, I've gone from this native looking image to this final result. In this case, I haven't used the Kodak 50D, because as you can see here, I've used the Fujicolor Natura 1600. And now, talking about the film profiles, we'll talk about this even at the end of the video, but in general there are lots of film profiles in Dehancer, and so in my opinion you are gonna find out which one you like, which one works great with your camera. So let's go now on this other clip, which is quite particular because I've tried to push a bit more the filmy and nostalgic look in the image. Now for the film, as you can see, I've used another one just to test out and show you some different film looks. And the particular thing that I've added in this clip, apart from the film grain, is the overscan, which basically has this cutout on the image, which in my opinion is perfect when you want just a film look in your video, apart, so you can just make the film grain and then add the overscan. So in my opinion, Dehancer offers you the chance to work both on a modern clip, but you can always go on the film look in just a few clicks, and that's pretty simple. Now, one last clip that I want to show you is this one, which has been edited only with the Dehancer node. So as you can see here, we have only one single node. And in few minutes you can just go from this starting image, which needs to be edited, to this final edited image. And in my opinion, this is the greatest thing of Dehancer, because in a few minutes you can really do a great work. And then if you want to make an even more precise and personalized work, you can even put more and more effort on it, but in just few minutes you can get a really nice result, as you can see, for example, from these few videos that I've shown you. The next thing I want to talk about are the performances, and using Dehancer obviously is not an easy task for your computer, because you're gonna go from a native video to a finally color graded video. And in my case, I've been using the base model of M1 MacBook Air from 2020, and I want to be honest about this. You are not going to have, for example, using this computer, you are not going to have any problem during the editing phase. So when you're using Dehancer with all the tools, the editing process is, in my opinion, pretty smooth. I would consider it pretty smooth. But the real power requested to your computer comes when you want to playback the video, and in that case you may find some problems. But in general, I would say that, considering that in my case I haven't created any optimized media and I've tried to playback a 4K 30 FPS video, edited color graded video, I would say that it's something normal that my computer couldn't just try to playback it. And so yeah, I would say that the general performance is pretty positive with Dehancer. Is, in my opinion, well optimized. You can find on the website all the details, all the system requirements. Because in general, the most important thing is that Dehancer works when you are applying, when you are working with the tools, and not just on the playback. That's the final step. As I've already said before, there are lots of film profiles in Dehancer, and these are not just some random film profiles, but are some authentic emulation of classic film stock. So every single film profile that you will find on Dehancer has a particular characteristic, so you can just try to work with lots of different film profiles. And so in my opinion, we should spend hours and hours talking about the film profiles. But in general, my most loved one is the Kodak Vision 3 50D. But I will leave you here a list of other film stocks that I found which are really interesting. And in general, you need to consider that the film profiles may work or may not work in some particular condition. For example, during a project, maybe the film profiles can be a bit critical to put in a particular clip, in a particular segment. And so in my opinion, you just need to test out by using your camera, your videos, and find out which film stocks can work perfectly with them. So now it's time to try to take the conclusions about Dehancer. I will try to divide this focus for the beginners and for the pro users. If we're talking about base users, in general, we need to consider that Dehancer offers some advanced tool for professionals, but actually it's a beginner-friendly software. So you can start just by using some basic tool at the start, and after some time you can just elevate your workflow in color grading. And so in a few time you can actually get some really nice results. You can really understand how much potential there's in Dehancer, and this, is my opinion, is one of the best things that with just few time and minimal effort you can get some really amazing results, some extraordinary results in your videos, even though maybe you are not a professional user. In my opinion, the only critical part of getting into color grading and using Dehancer is that at first you're gonna record in a, for example, log video, in my case the F-Log2 with the Fujifilm. And the risk in all this is that if you don't start from a good base on the video side and maybe you just do some little mistakes while recording, you maybe run the risk of not having in the end a good looking video, because you cannot recover everything from your video if there are some mistakes at the base. So just you need to understand how to record and then how to edit in a sort of a base way, and then you can just elevate more and more your editing flow. Whether instead you are a more professional user with a bit of more experience, you can just get into every single tool of Dehancer, and you're gonna know how to manage throughout the time every single tool that you can find into Dehancer. And this is really positive because you can work on, for example, the notes, and if you go on the Dehancer website, you can find the ideal structure of how to use the notes. And so, in my opinion, I believe that for pro users, Dehancer is quite perfect in general, because you have lots of different tools to work on and you can really personalize every single detail in your videos, and this is extremely perfect. The only thing maybe is that you will have to take some time to understand the film profiles, because that can be a great step, like a difficult step, because you need to test out lots of different film profiles, but in the end you are probably gonna come up with a few film profiles that works perfectly in your workflow, just to get the perfect and the right result that you want in your videos. Another thing that I want to say in general about Dehancer is that it offers a really amazing and high level quality in your final videos. Obviously, the one thing you need to remember by using Dehancer is that if you're recording in some particular low light situation, you need to find out the best camera settings, because that's gonna be a bit tricky. And even on the film profiles, you will have to just find out which film profiles works perfectly and better in that low light situation. But this is just a thing to remember, both if you are base users and if you are professional users, you already know it. So now, if you are interested into Dehancer, you can find in the description of the video all the links to their website, and plus there's even a 10% discount if you want to buy one of their licenses or one of their plans. But if you go on their website, you can find out that you can do a free trial of Dehancer of one of the licenses, so that you can just try it out and see how it is, how it works with your videos, with your computer for example, and even with your camera, so that you can maybe understand whether Dehancer works for you or not. But in my opinion, considering all the potential, considering everything that Dehancer can do, both if you are a base or a professional user, in my opinion, that's a great investment whether you want to just elevate your style into your videos, because Dehancer, as you've seen, offers lots of different tools, and so in my opinion you need to really evaluate, because it has lots of different things and it can make a real great difference in your videos. So just check out all the links and don't forget for the 10% discount, just to save a bit of money on Dehancer. So we're now at the end of this video, and I would like to thank Dehancer for just giving me the opportunity to test out their product, their amazing film emulation. And if you have any particular question, just leave a comment so that I can reply to you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and even subscribe, because consider that I want to bring some future contents, as I said before, about Dehancer, for example, maybe a tutorial or something else that you can ask me in the comments. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.